Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you want to be able to look in this book and take an exam, or even use this device, you have to first get into physical therapy school. So here are my top 10 tips for anybody that is interested into getting into physical therapy school. The number one tip is to actually sign up for PT CAS. PT CAS is the sense where most accredited schools in America and some overseas uses to allow their applicants to look at what they require for anybody to apply. So I always recommend students to look into PT CAS because PT CAS allows you to keep everything in one place so you can look at GRE, GPA, classes required, clinical hours, all these things that I'll be touching upon further on in this video that is important when it comes to applying to PT school. The next thing is GPA because most schools accept students that have a 3.0 or above GPA, and that's their cutoff point. Unlike a school that I went to Damon University, their cutoff point was a 2.8. So a little bit lower cutoff point, but that shouldn't be your most important thing. It should just mean that it gets you a higher chance to get into PT school. There's actually two parts to the GPA. There is the overall GPA that we all know of that needs to be a 3.0. Then there's the science GPA that has all the four prerequisite science classes that you must take. When you want to calculate your science GPA, you take 2 bios, you take 2 chemistry, you take 2 physics, and you take 2 anatomy and physiology. And all those GPAs together would allow you to find out what your GPA for science is, as that also has to be a 3.0 or above. And I believe that that is what's more important than the overall GPA. Schools are looking at the overall GPA. Science GPA allows schools, as we are medical professionals in the physical therapy realm, to actually see if this student can actually do the work that requires of him in the science department. Is he a critical thinker? The next topic is the GRE, Graduate Record Examination. This is for all graduate students to apply. So that's why PT CAS is the number one thing you should always look at first, because when you look at the PT CAS and you look at the school that you're interested in, it will tell you what the cutoff point for the GRE is in the reading part, the math part, critical thinking part, all those different sections of the GRE. So when you take the GRE, you know what to aim for. Now we're going to talk about major. A lot of people believe that you need to major in a science in order to get into physical therapy school. That is the wrong idea. You can actually major in anything that you're interested in because the overall does matter, but the science is the most important. When you look at PT CAS, you take the major that you're interested in, and then what you do is take the prerequisites that the school requires of you to apply to. So you can have any type of major and still get into PT school. I would not worry too much about either taking a health science major or even a bio major, as those are not as important as just taking the prerequisite classes in order to get in physical therapy school. Another thing that's important is to get a good letter recommendation. The letter recommendation should come from either a science professor that knows you really well, an internship instructor, boss, anybody that could speak best and highly of you. Do not try to get a letter recommendation for someone that you barely talk to because they don't know too much about you. You want to make sure that they give you a glaring letter recommendation. Another important topic that you have to get into when it comes to physical therapy is the essay part of it. And in PT CAS, they give you what the actual topic of the essay is so that you could prepare for it. Again, if you're in a freshman year, sophomore year, you're not applying anytime soon, you could just look at what those essay topics are so you could kind of prepare yourself for it. But for those that are applying right now, you want to take that essay and you want to actually write about a personal experience, of course. However, when you take that personal experience, you want to also bring it back into physical therapy, because a physical therapy school wants to look at, hey, what is this personal experience that they had and how does that relate to them being successful in physical therapy? Because that shows more emotional intelligence. Put it into being a successful physical therapist and how you care about what you do, because emotional intelligence is more important at times to faculty members and faculty department heads than IQ. The next topic is about the clinical hours that you need. So for undergraduate students, at the time when I was applying back in 2019, we needed 120 outpatient hours. So that's going out to a clinic that's going to see a lot of musculoskeletal injuries, knee replacements, hip replacements, neck pain, back pain, those kind of things where patients can actually walk into the clinic. So you needed 120 hours at that time. However, due to COVID, they have cut the hours down. So I still recommend you to look into PT CAS to see what the schools require. Another thing that is very important is to diverse your experience. So if you do an outpatient clinic, then you're going to go to an inpatient clinic that's like hospital hospitals, nursing homes, to then diversify your experience, because there are different fields in physical therapy more than the sports rehab or the nursing home rehab. There are different kinds. So you want to actually get both worlds so schools know that you have the experience of outpatient and experience of inpatient. Another important thing is actually emailing the department. With PTCast, you could see the emails, the numbers, the locations of schools. So emailing the department heads, emailing some faculty members, even going out your way to visit the campus is important, because when you apply to physical therapy school, you are just a number. You're a piece of paper. They see your GPA, they see your name. But if you actually go out, email them, they can put a face to the name. And that's very important, because as they put the face to the name, then your ability to get in, I believe, increases. Physical therapy school is very expensive. And you want to see how much it's going to cost yearly so that you can prepare for that cost later on. And the most important thing when it comes to pricing is to try to go to schools that are in state, that are close by, cut the cost of living on campus to more commuting. Last thing that I want to talk to you about this whole process of getting to PT school. It's hard, it's difficult, and you may want to give up. But you always want to keep a positive mindset when you're chasing after your goals. Nothing easy is worth having. So I want to talk about my personal experience. So I did 5 years in undergrad, and then I actually even took a gap year off before I got into PT school. And during my gap year, I was a physical therapist aide, making minimum wage and going to work and trying to take extra classes to boost up my science GPA. And I was doing all these things in order to get into PT school. It got to a point where I was getting a lot of rejections from physical therapy schools that I almost started losing faith. There's a moment that I always remember when I believed in myself. And this moment is when I came home from work and my mom sat me down. She sat me down and asked me, what am I doing with my life? Because I was working a minimum wage job. It didn't seem like I had a trajectory to a positive future. And she said all her friends were going to the nursing route. And the nursing route was a lot easier to get into and less costly. I contemplated on that decision of should I go nursing. But at that moment right there, I stood up for myself and I had a positive mindset. And that positive mindset allowed me to push myself even further and actually get into physical therapy school as I believed in myself. And towards the end of the semester, college semester, that is when I actually got in. So I could have lost faith early on, but I knew that there was a positive light when you believe. So always keep a positive attitude while you're going through this process. It's a difficult process. A lot of people aren't able to do it, but if you are able to do it, you could pat yourself on the back and then be a successful physical therapist. Bonus advice. Another important thing is to get a mentor. A mentor allows you to be able to go through this process smoothly and give you the same advice that I have given you right now. If you like what you've seen and heard, please subscribe here to my channel as you get more information about PT school, about training, about fitness, and about health. Thank you again and have a good one.